Hi guys, and welcome to the Scrappy Sisters Scrap September. Today I am doing day 2, and that is punch and die day. So you can see there I've got the hexagon punch and I've got the heart punch, and I am going to use those a fair bit in this 12 by 12 layer. So I have got a kit of a mixture of different papers. There's some Kaiser Craft, there's some Schimmel, some American Crafts. There's a few different things in there. They're part of a kit that I have, and I punched out about 5 different, 5 different colours of hexagons, and I punched out about 4 of each type. And once I punch those out, I then am punching little teensy tiny love hearts from down in the bottom right corner. And I am now putting just some scrap paper from my scrap bin behind each of those little love hearts so that they will show up a little bit more within that hexagon, so it's not white underneath. So I busily do that to all of the little hexagons. I think I end up only using 3 of each colour instead of 4 of each colour. So yeah, I busily go away and put some scrap paper in behind the hexagons. I can't remember what I was going to say then. Oh, different varieties of sort of reds and pinks are the colours that I use in the love heart. I am backing my photo. I backed it on plain white cardstock, and then I'm backing it again a second time on this light blue with white spots. And I'm using this blue colour because I'm kind of wearing a blue top. My partner's wearing a blue top. My father is wearing a blue top. So there just seems to be a little bit of blue happening in the photograph. So now I am just laying these hexagons around in no particular order. I don't want any two colours too close to each other. I am not going to make this one a big long stretch all the way across, but I kind of like the idea of doing a diagonal flow from the top left down into the bottom right, but I don't want them to join up, so I'm just kind of picking where I put it, a little bit messy, a little bit higgledy-piggledy. And I know I'm going to do a floating one sort of in the middle there. So I do like it to be kind of perfect, kind of even. So even though I have no intention of leaving those hexagons there, I'm using those to help line up where this floating section will go. I then decide that means the bottom one won't be lined up properly, so I'm just lining it up as well, just so, you know, it would or could all flow together if I chose to put hexagons all across the whole page. So I'm really happy with how that's looking, and so I decide I'll have a bit of a fiddle with my heading, and I just choose a really simple heading of family, and then I and ah about that, deciding as to whether just the word family is enough, or do I need more to it than that. And I decide I'd like it to be a little bit more, a little bit bigger than just the word family, and so I add family love because I do love my family. Then I have a little bit of a play about location for it, where I want it to go, how I want it to look. I know I want it down underneath the photograph down there, and it's just a matter of how far over and on top of the hexagons I want it to be. Oh, it is a freezing day in Australia, in Melbourne at the moment. I am so cold. I've got my slippers on. I am fully dressed, but I have a dressing gown on over top because I am so freezing, and I have a blanket across my knees. Ooh, so cold. I decide embellishing this is a little bit tricky. I'm having a little bit of trouble coming up with where I want little embellishment clusters to go. I know I want to put a heart near family love because, you know, love, heart. And I really love that yellow word saying there, so I know I'm definitely going to use that as well. I'm just now having a fiddle. Some of the colours are too exactly the same and they get lost in on top of the hexagons, so I end up using a third heart punch just to punch one more heart out that is not too similar in colour. I want it to be that little bit different, and I think I just use one of the scrap hexagons that I haven't used yet. And now I can go back to using that little yellow saying or mustard coloured saying, but it is not the right size. So I'm just chopping that down sort of to make into a tiny word phrase size instead of an actual tag. And then I'm stuck and I'm just not sure how I want my embellishments to go. I've got to admit, embellishments tend to be my downfall. I can whack out a little bit of how I like it with a little bit of background and a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and then I get stuck. And I'm not really sure how I want the rest of it to look. So I decide, I know that I'm happy with the hexagons, so I'm going to stick them down. So I start off by just using double-sided tape, sticking them down, and then think, how boring. I need some dimension. I need to add something to this to make this look a little bit funkier. So I stick just a couple of them down using foam dots, just random ones, no rhyme or reason to it. I don't use a huge amount of foam dots because I don't have that many. Someone asked me before where I get my square foam dots from. So they're not dots at all. They're square foam. Spotlight has them. Kmart has had them in the past. Don't know if they still do. I think these ones are Spotlight ones that I'm using now, but you can see that I'm already like so close to down to my last like 6 left or something. So I'm actually cutting them in half and being really stingy. They'll probably fall off in a year's time. But I'll deal with that then. So yeah, I'm sticking up some with foam dots, some with double-sided tape, just to add a little bit of pop and a little bit of difference to the dimension on the layout. I stick down that top one that I'm working on now with you, and then I stick down the little sort of floating one to the top right. And I also stick down my photograph, and I, again, use some foam to stick the photograph down to give it a little bit of pop as well. I really love backing my photos with foam. At the moment, I've been doing that quite often because, as we know, like when we're scrapbooking, as much as we love all of the interesting embellishments and colours and all of that we use, it is to enhance the photo. The photo is the main feature. So I have been popping up the photograph a lot lately to really have that be the thing that stands out. Then I thought I might stick down my heading before doing this last bottom cluster, just to make sure I had my heading spaced in the right position. And then I again go ahead and stick down this bottom cluster. So again, I pop up some, and then I decide I want a little bit more dimension. So I'm limited to as far as my punch can reach, but I actually end up punching some hexagon holes, just 4 hexagon holes out near all the 3 clusters that are already on the page. Just obviously they're going to be close to the edge because they have to be ones that the punch can reach to. And I pop those in reverse, if that makes sense. So now, looking on it from the front, I've got some that are low because they've got foam on the back side. I've got some that are high because they've got foam on the front side. And then I've got some that are just stuck to the surface. And it really just adds some shadow and gives some really cool effects. So I've put 2 in that top cluster, 1 in the middle cluster, and 1 down the bottom. And you can, even from these videos, sort of see which ones have done what, because you can see the shadows there, which I just think looks awesome. I am now using my tiny attacher to put together that little heart cluster with the gorgeous little saying on it there. That's a Maggie Holmes collection that I am using. And I'm just peeling up the letter E because I want it to go under the E a little bit. And I then have a play with this Maggie Holmes collection to see what I want to put around the page. That bird would have worked. I didn't like it. I think my problem is a lot of the embellishments in this pack are quite large, and I was finding it quite difficult to use such large sized things. They obviously match because all the papers and things go together, but I was just struggling with the size of it. So I end up getting this gorgeous little pack of Love Heart wood veneers because, you know, I'm going with the love theme and the heart theme. There are 3 sizes of the wood veneers in this collection. They're from Corbett Creations, and they're just gorgeous. And so I end up putting a little tiny love heart down in that hexagon that is pushed behind, because I didn't do the little love heart punch to punch one out, and I thought that looked really super cute. And I glue those down with my Tombows glue, and over in the Family Loves, I end up putting one of all 3 of the love hearts. So you'll see those in a minute. And they're really super tiny. There's one in particular that is teensy, like so tiny, like the size of a pinprick tiny, but it's just super gorgeous. And I thought it'd be really cute to include that one. This is where my tweezers would come in handy, because it is quite a challenge to get that little teensy tiny one in the right position and to stay on. So you can see there it is there, so small. But yeah, so I glue those down with the Tombows glue. I'm new to using Tombows glue, but I really quite like it. It dries so quickly and everything seems to be stuck down really securely. So, and I love the little nozzle on the end. It's not perfect for super, super, super fine. It's not like one of those really sharp fine point nozzles, but it's pretty fine. I find it good. So yeah, I've been really happy with it, and I've been liking using it. So then I get some enamel dots, and they're kind of in a goldy browny colour. I only had a couple left in this colour, so I just decided I'd go crazy and use as many as I could, as many as I wanted, and finish off the package that I had. Just sticking those down and doing whatever. I started putting one in like some of the obvious gaps to be like a love heart, but I really didn't like that one, so I carefully peeled it off. You could see a little bit where the paper ripped, but no biggie. I wasn't too concerned about that. But I then had to use the Tombows glue to glue it on because it had paper stuck to the back of it and it wasn't sticky anymore. So I think then I stopped the video because I've stuck on my enamel dots, and I'm like, yeah, great, I'm done. And I totally forgot about Hardy Shine. So like, you can't have a layout without Hardy Shine. So I use some gold Hardy Shine and some coral Hardy Shine. And then I've just found my Tim Holtz Tiny Word stickers. They have been lost for like ever. And I was so excited that I found them. So I included those on the layout too, which you can see there in the photo. So I hope you like this layout, guys. I hope it inspires you. Please play along with our Scrappy Sisters Scrap September. There will be a video every day over the 30 days of September, as you saw in the picture at the start, with a topic for what each day's layout will be. So hopefully you can join in. Don't feel like you have to do all 30, but it'll be great to see you playing along. Thanks, guys.